radio headset and grab.
Michigan, this is Barack Obama. I want to talk with you about the Alyssa Slotkin I know. Alyssa is a true public servant who has dedicated her career to serving the American people, no matter who is in the White House. I saw that leadership and character up close. Alyssa is the kind of leader we need. Tough, independent, and effective. She'll get the job done. And she will make you proud.
I'm Alyssa Slotkin, and I approve this message.
Hello, Detroit. Election Day is November 5th, but why wait? Beginning Saturday, October 19th, you can vote early at one of Detroit's 14 early vote centers. Early voting runs through Sunday, November 3rd, so let your voice be heard and vote early. If you're voting by absentee ballot, return your ballot as soon as possible. For more information, visit our website or give us a call. And remember to vote, because it's not only your right, it's the right thing to do.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a ninth grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the week that was. Happy All Saints Day. Hope you survived Halloween. As we go into, of course, the home stretch of the elections coming up next year, I'm Saeed Khan, and joined by our family who's been through this whole election year together. Sorry if I get verklempt, but yes. Talk amongst yourselves. Here to go ahead and look at how things are moving into this home stretch are, of course, pollster Ed Sarpolus, two of the three esteemed attorneys that we have on Joel Sklar and Bill Seikaly, labor and community activist Barb Ingalls, veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and of course, co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel. Well, it is indeed the home stretch, and some of you listening and viewing, and maybe some of you on this panel have already voted early. I know I did. I guess it was on Tuesday is when I went over, and I was shocked by how long the lines were, even in the morning time on a weekday. People seem to be very energized. We're also joined by the third of the attorneys, Steve Fishman, is now here in the house too.
Ahead of the law firm.
The Troika is not here.
The Troika is here. The Troika of Detroit. The fact that, people seem to be rather enthusiastic about this. I think nationwide we've crossed 85 million. Here in Michigan, we may be approaching 2 million. Ed, is this going to be a banner year or a record-breaking year of turnout?
Well, right now we're tracking with 2020, okay? Because in 2020, the AVs were like over 3 million, but that's a misnomer this year because of fact, remember in 2020, we really weren't pushing the early voting, okay? When I'm looking at the data right now, which is the Secretary of State has it online, basically a third of all AVs are now going face-to-face, going to mass. So the AP count that you're seeing in the newspaper is off by about 600 to 1 million people, okay? Because they're going and voting. The only problem with that is Oakland County's doing great. I'm assuming that's where you live. Detroit's doing well. But the bottom line, there is a mixture of a lot of Republican men and some women into that number, which 4 years ago, we did not have the number included in those numbers. But it is looking good, matching 2020. We're not over 2020 yet, so the race still could be close.
Ed, are you assuming I live in Oakland County because I'm an Asian American or because I have a personal library?
No, because you hang out at airports on the strip looking for an immigrant ride.
Well done. Okay. Well, the books could be a prop, and I could be up in Tuscola County. Oops, shouldn't have said that. Anyway.
One of my sisters is counting, has been working the early voting in the west side of the state. And she said it's been completely crazy the entire time. Very, very busy. Not the west side of the state, but in a very, very, very Republican thing. And what upsets her the most And she's a real calm person. She's not like me at all. She's just like very calm, and she'll look you in the eye and doesn't say fuck very much. But she said that people are coming up to her and they're getting their ballot, and then they're saying, "We don't trust you. We don't trust you." I have to put that in the tabulator myself, and making a big deal about it. I mean, making a point that if they don't do it themselves and their vote isn't going to be counted. And you know, and when you work I know that Nancy probably feels the same way. I take it really personally. You know, I'm going to be counting stuff. I have a clear bias as to what I want to happen, but I want this to be fair. I want this to be right. And people getting in her face. I'm like, she's in her mid 70s. She's, again, this is not, you know, a flaming radical, but this is, and I'm hearing it from other people. And then, and that's really too bad. And I think that's the effect of 4 years of having it hammered into their tiny brains that the election was stolen from them. And I think that's kind of a bad omen for me.
Yeah, I feel, and I would feel exactly the same way if somebody did that. It's like, you want to sit here for 14 hours, or, you know, this was back when I did it, it was, you worked the election day. Mm-hmm. And if anybody had said that to me, I mean, I would have kept a civil tongue in my head, as we say in Victorian novels, but I would have really been pissed off.
But only in the novels,
Nancy, at my precinct, I mean, I saw that the precinct workers were stocked with a lot of snacks back there.
Well,
so,
I was just going to say, I'm working the AV counting on election night at Huntington Place. P.S. I do not expect it to be a scene. I think if I were you, Barb, I would be girding my loins, because I think one fact that has sunk into these thick skulls in the last 4 years is Michigan was not lost in Detroit. Michigan was lost in Oakland.
Right.
So if I were in
gummies with me,
I was going to say,
great.
They told us in our training we should absolutely not.
Now Nancy's joining in by blaming the Asians in Oakland County. Thank you very much.
No, it's the suburban women. I mean, they turned on Trump.
I thought you were going to say it was the Chinese non-citizen. Singular.
Right.
Voted
in Nancy, do you realize the fact, because of women turning on Trump, we're going to have the largest divorce rate in Michigan? Because according to Kirk, and if the wife votes not like the husband, there's grounds for divorce.
Grounds for divorce. I've heard the evangelical community weigh in on that one.
Ed, it's okay. It's okay, Ed, because
mean that we need to change our business model. Maybe we need to start doing divorce law, representing women who that idiot.
Well, actually, I did that. And actually, I was the pollster and one of the consultants in the Vanderveen Vanderland Special Election when Ford began VP, and we converted 60% of Republican women to vote for the Democrat Vanderveen back in 75, 76. So it has been done before. And they did not tell their husbands, because they were all surprised when Vanderveen won. It was all because of Republican women.
Actually, since there's already a law firm called Adam, how about you three form a firm called Eve?
There's already an Eve law firm.
Oh, hey, Nancy and Barb, I need to ask you a very important question. Do you feel safer now that Trump has said that he's going to protect you even if you don't want it?
You know, when he said that, I thought, honestly, it kind of reminded me of those Lifetime movies about some woman who has to escape an abusive husband. You know, it was that is such a line that is just almost grown in a lab to make women suspicious. You know, I'm going to do this for your own good, or I'm going to do this whether you like it or not. You know, it's just like, it's like this time to have your go bag in the trunk of your car and say, I'm going out for groceries, hon, you know, as is my gendered role. And then just hit the highway.
Well, Jesse Waters on Fox was saying that if his wife voted for Kamala, that would be essentially grounds for divorce.
Yeah.
He's probably voted for Kamala.
I heard she early voted.
Right. And let him know.
Yeah.
For Kamala.
So
can I go back? Can we go back just for a moment? Because I really appreciate what Barb said about her sister's experience. I went in to my precinct an hour after the early voting began, so about 9 o'clock it was Saturday morning. It was a short line. There were 7, if I remember correctly, 7 voting booths. They were all filled. I had to wait just a couple minutes. But I kind of anticipated that a lot of people, especially outstate, would be jerks to the polling people. And one of the things that I did was walk over and shook every one of their hands and said, "Thank you. I know this is a difficult job, and I want you to know I really appreciate you being here." And a couple of them just looked at me like, "What?" They were ready for something else. I think it's important that we start doing that. I really do, because we know that there's a certain part of the electorate that's going to be abusive, and I think it makes a difference if other-minded people stand up and say thank you and acknowledge their support, because I think it'll make people hesitant to confront them.
So if any of you guys on the show want for Tuesday, I have a few black berets, some sunglasses, and some black t-shirts that are 2 sizes too small. If you guys want them to stand like this by the polls to protect the polls. Yeah.
Actually, I may take you up on that, Saeed, because I'm one of the volunteer attorneys in case a lawsuit gets filed in either state or federal court. And I'd love to go into court with those on.
Well, Bill, next year for Halloween, we're going as Huey and Bobby. So
right on. Actually, I appreciated last week when Hugh saw my picture and he said, "Right on."
There you go. Alan.
Steve Fishman, there's a lot of noise coming. Is there somebody? It sounds like there's something. Is somebody?
I'm in the same place I'm always at. Nobody's here.
Okay. No vacuuming. Okay. All right. By the way, Steve has his son. You want to mention about your son Eric?
Well, yeah. On Tuesday, my son was. Oh, there it is. He was inducted into the Michigan Jewish Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow.
All right.
There we are with Jalen.
He's taller than his old man.
Jalen got the humanitarian award for all the work he's done with his academy.
Wonderful. Jalen Rose is wonderful.
And it was really nice that the two of them had it on the same night, because Jalen and I are pretty good friends, and he's known Eric for a while as well. So it was a lot of fun.
Was he inducted for cricket? Yeah.
Not quite cricket. We play basketball, here in America.
I can't believe, Nancy, that you would ask, what did he play?
Well, you never know. I didn't say cricket. Maybe he's like.
By the way, Fish. America hosted the Cricket World Cup this year, so we do play cricket here.
And Steve has other relatives who are also, including his father Herman, who played 4 sports at Northern High School, and then played at U of M, baseball and basketball.
Wow.
There you go.
So apparently, it looks like former President Trump has some competition for being Lord Lancelot moving forward. It looks like Elon Musk is also looking to be protector of women and the human species. And I think we have a video about this, Alan.
Trump's private pet billionaire is also making the news because we just learned that Elon Musk is offering people his sperm. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not trick or treat at Elon's house. Reports say that Elon is deeply concerned about declining birth rates. Elon, I'm not sure women would agree that the reason for declining birth rates is there's just not enough sperm out there.
I mean, we could do a whole show on billionaires who are trying to twist the election this year, including Jeff Bezos and others. But we'll save that because we really need to talk, about Steve.
I'm glad that you said that. We were having this discussion, a number of us in the gym this morning. People forget about Citizens United. They forget about Justice Roberts, right? Writing that opinion. And really, if you think about it, after Watergate, those of us who are old enough to remember Watergate, they really clamped down on this kind of stuff. And Citizens United opened the floodgates for all of these asshole billionaires who think And you know, I've read a number of articles about it. They honestly believe that they're smarter than everybody else, that they know more than anybody else. You could put them in charge of the State Department or the Defense Department, and they'd run it just like they run their business. And really, it all dates back, like with Dobbs, back to Chief Justice Roberts. He's going to go down in infamy next to Roger Taney.
Yeah.
It started here in Michigan.
It's Taney. It's Taney.
I think good examples of how businessmen are not good politicians. One is Donald Trump, and the other is Governor Snyder, who called constituents customers.
I hated that. I hated that.
And I think they're just they're a little bit tone deaf to the actual. They think a business can be run just like the country, and it's not.
I dispute your premise here, Alan. I'm sorry, but I don't consider Trump a businessman.
No, he isn't. He's
a carny. He's a carny hawker.
Reality, he's a game show host.
That's right.
By the way, Steve, thank you for clarifying that you guys in the gym were talking about billionaires and not what Elon Musk was apparently peddling.
I was worried. I got to admit, I was a little worried.
Leave Elon Musk's sperm behind. Can I just say I'm out of the baby making business. I'm an old crone now, which makes me basically useless to people like Elon Musk and Bernie Marino and many of the
Shady Vance.
However, if I were a blooming fertile rose of 19, the last person's sperm that I would solicit would be a pasty-faced South African with a masturbation habit. Okay, I mean that's just not my thing. So, I mean, I'd be calling up Channing Tatum, or
he's available. He broke up with his girlfriend. Shannon broke up.
That's right.
Well,
with
I don't
Zoe,
even care.
Zoe
We
Kravitz.
don't have to make the baby the traditional way. We can. I mean, I would take a shot from.
By the way, Ed, I'm impressed, man, because being a stats wonk, for you to be looking at TMZ as well and knowing that Channing and Zoe Kravitz broke up, kudos to you, man. Joel.
I got to make one point, just one premise, is business is in business to make money and profit. Government isn't.
No,
government is not a profit-making scheme. We're not there to, get the most out of a nickel. We're there to take care of our country. It's going to be at a loss because profit isn't it. And we keep revenues coming in with taxes and other, fees, whatever the hell it is. But to think a businessman whose only objective is improving profits for those who are invested in my company, that has nothing to do with government. Government doesn't run on that premise. It's what is best for the people. And how do we
hey boy, what are you, un-American?
I'm a Marxist, apparently.
The quickest way to get me not to vote for you is to say I want to run blank like a business. It's it's government's not a business, school is not a business. Healthcare is not even a business.
Snyder used to talk about the big the money that was saved and that they had that they were keeping in the state of Michigan, and it's like that everything is falling apart. Why am I paying taxes? Is use that money. Don't brag about your bottom line that you've saved. You're absolutely right, Joel. It's like that is not what it was ever for.
I think the best evidence in support of what
the other thing about Snyder, he forgot to mention the fact that he's the one that destroyed Gateway computers.
Right.
Which actually, Ed, if you remember the artwork on the Gateway computer, falls into Trump saying that they're coming after your cows. So there you go. By the way, Bill, I have to say that given that you look like Mr. Rogers in a good way, but that accent, that sounded like an AI mashup because the voice didn't match the apparel. But
thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. But I want to go back. I think Joel's right. I think the best single piece of evidence about it is what they did in this state in education.
Yeah.
They tried to make education a for-profit enterprise. It doesn't work. It destroys education, and the head of the Department of Education used to stem from here, and I think she's a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
But there is Powerball tomorrow, Bill. So, you can help the education of this
Talk
state
about the greatest scam on the planet. We'll give all this money to education. Of course, we're going to dollar for dollar take it out of the fund that we have for education. But
of course. Of course. Now, Alan, I know you've got some video dealing with our next story, which is, of course, when I was a kid and just shortly after Watergate, Steve, my parents took me to the Moscow Circus at Madison Square Garden. But apparently they've got other kinds of circuses there now, including Trump holding a MAGA rally just a few days ago. Alan.
Now, Trump is denying that he knew anything about the comic and stuff. So
I have no idea who he is. Somebody said there was a comedian that joked about Puerto Rico or something, and I have no idea who he is. Never saw him, never heard of him. Now, what they've done is taken somebody that has nothing to do with the party, has nothing to do with us, said something, and they try and make a big deal. But I don't know who it is. I don't even know who put him in. And I can't imagine it's a big deal.
The amount this man won't take responsibility for anything with his name on it is almost impressive. Like President Truman said, the buck stops here. Trump's like, I never saw that buck. I never met that buck.
We also have, should we play Triumph, the insult?
Sure.
This is outside the rally.
Kamala, it was like a coup, right? They handed her the nomination.
You're right.
But she still has to get past Trump.
Yes.
Which for a woman is very hard to do without pepper spray. Everyone, right? Seriously, when I look at you, it makes me think that groceries aren't expensive enough. I kid. It's not a Nazi rally. I hate when people use that term. When they call Trump a Nazi, right. He's the candidate preferred by Nazis.
Just too clever. Well, the reference was to comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who, among others, managed to, I think, show a certain level of demographic equanimity by going ahead and disparaging everybody. I think, to quote from Eleanor Rigby, no one was spared. But it certainly did gin up a lot of anger, particularly in the attacks that were levied against Puerto Rico. Which now people are wondering how smart this is, given the fact that there is a fairly sizable Puerto Rican community in battleground state Pennsylvania, or I should say battleground Commonwealth Pennsylvania. Alan.
I mean, this comic was feeding into the perception that Puerto Ricans are immigrants when they're citizens of the U.S. They can move anywhere in the states and vote. They can't vote for president in Puerto Rico, but if anyone moves to New York, Pennsylvania, whatever, they can vote automatically. And the other thing is, they took a guy who does roasts on Comedy Central, where if you've watched those roasts, they're the most denigrating, most racist, misogynist, whatever. And they took him and put him in this crowd. It's amazing. And then Trump, when they asked him, they said, well, what do you think about that? He goes, I don't even know the guy. And so they said, but what do you think of what he said? And he goes, well, I didn't hear what he said.
Right.
What a crock of shit.
That's what Van said.
I think that's important. What's important is when you look at the video of the event, most of the time, if somebody would come up with a joke that bad, that terrible, there'd be silence.
Yeah.
It wasn't silence in that crowd. He knew the crowd he was speaking to. He knew that he was speaking to Trump supporters, and he knew that joke would go over well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they brought him in for that reason.
That purpose.
I mean, all you have to do is look at those transgender ads, which are just flooding the airwaves. And at the end, they say, Kamala's for they and them. Donald Trump's for you. That could be like, Kamala's for Black people. Donald Trump's for you. Trump's for Jews. Trump's for Arabs. Kamala's for Arabs and Jews. He's for you. I mean, how racist can you get without anyone just challenging that?
Though, did you see Trump's recent 3 Jewish women talking commercial?
I haven't seen. I've heard about it.
It is disgusting. It is.
Tell me about it. I haven't seen it.
Well, Alan, I mean, I don't know if Trump is for Arabs, but there are some Arabs that are for Trump. Last weekend at the Novi rally. What's that, Nancy?
Excellent segue.
Well,
he's a pro, man.
He really is.
Last
we gave him a
weekend,
lob. Come on. If he couldn't hit that, he wasn't hitting anything.
Listen, I'm no Aaron Judge, but that's a whole different story.
Easy.
Okay, you're too easy. So at the Novi rally that Trump was presiding at last weekend, a group of imams and Muslim community leaders made their way onto the stage and endorsed the Donald. This, of course, now tracking with some other incidents, including the mayor of Hamtramck, Yemeni American Amir Khalib, who, in fact, quite vocally and enthusiastically gave his support to the man who had placed Yemen on the travel ban back in 2016 and who has pledged to go ahead and reinstate it in 2025. Despite all this, it seems as though Trump is popular enough to go ahead and exploit the Arab community because he's making a visit in the closing overs of the campaign to, you guessed it, Dearborn, Michigan.
Dearborn Heights, the mayor in Dearborn Heights was also on stage.
The mayor of Dearborn Heights went ahead and did that. Now, from what I understand, many of the imams, not the one who actually spoke from the stage, but the ones who were the props in the background, they have come out with a statement saying, we had no intention to endorse. We were invited by the campaign. We similarly were hoping for an invitation by the Harris-Walz campaign, which never came, or it was refused. If I don't know who made the overture to whom. But this is the case, despite the fact that according to the Council of American Islamic Relations, 42% of Muslim Americans nationwide are planning on voting for Jill Stein. It looks, though, that most of those are probably in battleground states because, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Stein is polling 4% in Michigan, 1% nationally. And yet at the same time, it is also mindful, 3%. Sorry. It is also important to remember that in 2020, 30% of the Arab and Muslim vote in Michigan did, in fact, go to Trump. So,
well, the other thing that's important, talking about where the Arabs are going, Mr. Zogby, famous pollster and marketing for the Arab community, said, "No way, Trump." And he's quoted in the Free Press also. So the fact that it isn't 100% moving, the Arabs moving, there's a lot of spokesperson for the Arab community now saying we can't live with Trump.
That guy in Hamtramck is a loose cannon. I mean, he was meeting publicly with Michael Flynn, who I don't care what anybody says. That guy is a fucking Russian.
Who's trashed Islam. Who publicly trashed Islam.
Exactly. I mean, he's and like you said about the travel ban. I mean, there are people in Hamtramck from Yemen, Yemenis in Hamtramck who have been there for 5 minutes. I mean, that country is a hellscape right now because of this proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Russia. And it's just, I mean, it's the idea that he would say to his own constituents, I don't care if you still have family over there that want to come and join you. Right. I'm with this guy. I mean, it's just, it makes me crazy.
Forget the family who you want to come over. To quote a famous or infamous psychologist, what are you thinking? I mean, this is insane. This is the same guy who promises the largest mass deportation ever. And if they think that that's not going to include their tetas and jiddus, their grandmothers and grandfathers who are here illegally, they've got their head in a part of their anatomy that they shouldn't have their head in.
I love it when you talk Arabic to me. It's just so sexy.
The Chaldeans in 2016 here voted overwhelmingly for Trump. I think
regret it.
Part of it because they thought, they're anti-ISIS and really some are anti-Muslim. And so then he started rounding up I can't remember the number, but they started rounding up quite a bit from Southeast Michigan and Toledo. And they were like, oh my God, he betrayed us. It's like, hello. It's like when you see the Arabs on stage at Novi at stage and you're like, oh my God, it's like the fox, like just the chickens standing there like, can't wait till dinner time.
The well-known and kind of almost cliche meme by now is, I never thought the leopards would eat my face, sobbed the woman, sobbed the member of the leopards eating people's faces party. I mean,
Well, you know, it's interesting. The Dearborn mayor has not taken a stance. He has said, vote your conscience.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mayor Abdullah Mahmoud is more in the camp of uncommitted,
right.
which famously said, "We're not endorsing anybody, but we're definitely not voting for Trump or for Stein or staying home." So, you know, what's left on the SAT question?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is also Westland and Dearborn, the Ford company has a major say what goes on in politics in those two communities. So that's a smart thing for the mayor to stay neutral because Ford is very sensitive to problem areas.
Well, there you go.
So let's do a 30-second commercial and then we'll come right back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
So now UP election officials apparently have been removed over a vote hand count plan. Anyone want to shed light on just another day in the Upper Peninsula?
It's not another day in the Upper. It's the same. These people are the same
This
as
is
the ones.
this is irony. This is
I
irony.
understand. I understand. But it's like these. It's the people who are telling the poll workers, Barb's friend, that they don't trust him. I mean, they're saying we're gonna do a hand. I mean, what is a hand? I don't understand what a hand count is supposed to show. I mean, they've done hand counts in, I believe, what was the county that had the
Atrium or Adam?
Antrim
County in 2020 they had the problems, which they caught early. They corrected. Then they did a hand count to confirm what the tabulator showed. It was accurate. The whole Cyber Ninjas Carnival in Arizona was all about hand counting. And in the end of it, Biden picked up 80 votes. So, I mean, I don't understand what they think hand counting is supposed to do.
The clerk of Warren was trying to push for a hand count unless she got her new machine.
Oh, okay. Well, good for her.
Was that a coffee machine, Ed, or
no? Actually, the bottom line
tabulator.
Yeah, she needs a tabulator. She says if she doesn't get it, she's going to do a hand count.
It seems like it's just a way to undermine the election results. Right. All of this.
Yes, and this is why I am enjoying this weekend. I'm going to tell my husband after the show's over that we need to go out to dinner tonight and we need to have a little bit of fun because I have a feeling that next week is going to be hell.
No fun.
A friend of mine has said, this is the last good year. He said, enjoy 2024. It's the last good year because no matter what happens, no matter who wins the election, I expect civil unrest next week, going into leading up to the inauguration, I think, and maybe even beyond. Who knows?
I think the lesson.
And I might be one of the ones doing it. I might be one of the ones out there in the black beret.
We don't know which side, is going to.
Saeed's too small a T-shirt, which I'm going to strategically cut to show off my bountiful bosom.
And then, I got you hooked up. Don't worry. I've got the whole setup over here.
Love that.
I'm ready. I'm ready to
so there you go.
I was going to say that the year 2019 taught us a lesson. Enjoy the year, because I remember at the end of 2019, people were like, I'm so ready for 2020. It's going to be so much better. And then we had COVID. We had a fucking crazy shit, and people said, 2019, not so bad.
I think the meme for 2025 is going to be COVID saying "miss me much."
Yeah. I remember in 2016 we lost David Bowie and Prince. 2016, fuck off. It's like
that's what happened.
Now looks like the good old days.
I look at my Facebook memories. I look at my Facebook memories sometimes, and because I clearly don't have enough to do. But it kills me. I look at this and it's like, here's Trump insulting Arabs. Here's Trump defending himself against another rape accusation. Here's people dying in droves.
I see the community, Barb, like Pete Puma, where he's hitting himself on the head with a hammer, saying, "Oh no, you don't. I'll help myself." With all Bugs Bunny cartoon. That's what this is. I mean, it's just a mass Pete Puma. Ed, a panel turns its lonely eyes to you. How is the polling looking today?
Well, in Michigan, it looks better because of the fact that we're finally getting to a point where it looks like there will be turnout in some key areas for Democrats. It's still very close because neither candidate's over 50%. And so the problem is where does that 40, 48, 43%. So one Republican pollster, one Democrat pollster basically have opposite numbers, but they're all within the margin of error. So the bottom line is going to come down to turnout. What I like to see the fact is that my concern was that the AVs were down compared to 4 years ago. But when I'm saying voting in person, up. Out of the first 1,800 absentee ballots, there was 600,000 people going and voting in the clerk's office. So
Wow.
we're matching right now, but we're still short in Detroit by about 60,000 people where it was 4 years ago. As long as that keeps growing in Detroit, we'll be fine.
Ed, you want
Here's an interesting
to
one.
address this viewers?
Yeah, Faris Khan saying, and by the way, Mr. Khan, no relation, but very courageous of you to use your full name. As you well realize, there is no excommunication in Islam, so you're not worried about getting bounced. But I am Muslim and I will vote for Harris, but there are perhaps 150,000 other Muslims that voted for Biden in Michigan that may not vote for Harris. Not sure they were accounted for in the polls. Thoughts? Ed?
Well, first of all, they will be counted. And I will tell you this is that 4 years ago, you got to remember a good portion of the Arab Lebanese community is Republican automatically, especially once you get out of Dearborn and Oakland County, where I do a lot of work. Most of my rooms are actually Republican donors. So when you're talking about the largest portion that leans Democrat is in Wayne County, I have to tell you, the same thing with Chaldeans. So the bottom line, they were counted, and that's why Oakland County has gone so much Democratic over the years, because people like more of the Arabs that are moving from Detroit and Oakland County are benefiting that. And
I don't need to disparage my people any more than you already have.
Okay. Well, I understand that, but on the same token, I mean, you got to be aware of what's going on out there. But I just want to say that the Arab community is counted. The actual vote is probably about 300,000. About 400,000 residents, about 300,000 potential voters, and they make up around 2 to 3% of the vote in every election. And so they are counted. And I keep track of those, and I do a lot of work in the Arab Muslim community. So I know that they're very active. As a matter of fact, I've worked in campaigns with them that they mail out, be sure absentee ballots go over to the Mideast. People who are going over there in August to visit their relatives, they get to vote absentee before they leave.
I got to tell you, Ed, over the past few days, I've been in Dearborn because various journalists who are coming into town to cover the election have asked if I could be interviewed. And other than the fact that I've had so much coffee that I feel like Principal McVicker from Beavis and Butthead with the shakes, you can't swing a cat around Dearborn without running into a journo. I mean, the cafes have become like the cafes of Prague and Vienna and Berlin in the Cold War, but instead of spies, it's reporters. It's incredible.
Wow.
Well, that's first because they don't. I get a lot of calls for them to go, and I says, if you're going to go talk to the more Arab communities, don't go to Dearborn, okay? Because as a matter of fact, a good portion of them attend schools, and and remember, a lot of Arab and Pakistan, they go to engineering schools, so you got to go outside Dearborn or go to Flint where they got schools. They just assume that's all that there is. Okay, yeah. I think that's a mistake, but I think they're overdoing it because as I looked at what's going around and talking to the Arab community. I see a lot more support there for visibly more for Harris, or saying they're going to be voting for Harris. I mean, that's why you see Osama Samlani, Issa going 50-50. The mayor of Dearborn has gone 50-50. Why? Because he sees what's happening in his community. He can't take sides.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the fact that Osama Samlani and Abdullah Hammoud are both in line with how they're viewing this is rather remarkable. Well, we do have other future elections to consider here in Michigan. I know that's shocking. That there is, well, okay, all right. I mean, that is an important disclaimer, I concede. But it seems as though Mayor Mike Duggan doesn't really have a war chest for a fourth term as mayor. What could he be thinking? Anyone have insight on this?
Well, what kind of? I mean, what genius broke that story? I
think
anybody who hasn't figured out that Duggan's running for governor instead of mayor.
Yeah.
hasn't been paying attention to what's going on.
I saw him in August, and I said, "So what's going on?" And he just kind of said, I don't know yet. I think it's clear he's not running for mayor, as Bill said. And, it's not 100% that he's going to run for governor. I mean, if he's going to stay in public office, he'll run for governor, 100%.
Of course he will.
But the question is whether, I think he's about 66 maybe. And so I don't know, maybe he may just say, "Hey, I'm going to Hawaii
with my younger bride." Sure.
Yeah.
Not only that, you got to remember the fact he'll be offered. The bottom line, if he doesn't run for governor, he might be because he's not getting the money from the business community. If they give him the money, he'll run. And also the fact he's got job offers up to yin yang if he wants to do something. He's not going to be. She's not going to be short of work.
Right.
Yeah. Clearly, this guy's not motivated by money. He's not motivated by money. He's motivated by power.
Well, Ed,
and remember on your show last year, I said that he's already reached out to people like Jeremy Moss in Oakland County. Would he be part of his ticket? Okay. So the fact that the governor thing is not out of it yet.
Well, the question is, if it were between Benson and Duggan running for in the primary, who do you think would come out on top?
He's prettier than him. So there's that.
The bottom line, if more than one woman gets into the primary, then Duggan has a legitimate shot of winning that primary. So the question is, can Benson keep Dana Nessel and a few other people out of the primary? So it'll be an all-woman type of thing because so that's what's going to happen. It depends on how many women get into the primary.
I can't see Nessel really having a lot of traction as governor.
No, she doesn't. But the point being, they all look gifted.
Do you think, Ed, right now it looks like the Detroit Free Press has said that Alyssa Slotkin is about 5 percentage points above Rogers for the Senate race. In the event that if Slotkin were to lose, would that mean Slotkin might consider running for the governor?
The question be, where's the money going to come from? Okay. Johnson Benson has a nice big war chest. And that's going to be the problem. Maybe her family has access to money, but I don't think that's going to, be hard for her to find the money. I actually wish she could she run? Yes. I know the conservative side of the Democrats and also the conservative side of many ethnic groups would like her because the fact is that they think it'll be a competitive race in the governor's race in 4 years. So it's possible, but I don't know where she gets her money for that.
I think Duggan could get a lot of money from some of the big business people in the state.
I think Alyssa could raise the money, but I don't think that's her interest.
No,
I don't think that local politics is. I think that she's into national issues, international issues.
Yep.
I think that's
rising star. If she wins again, she is a rising star.
Oh, she's definitely on that.
Incredibly bright, has a wonderful history. Is a moderate. She's a rising star. I really like her quite a bit. I've been very.
Oh, that's going to be Benson right now. Benson has a much larger war chest than she would have coming out of the Senate race. That's the only problem.
So let me ask a different question then. Right now, we're certainly polarized, and given the very Pollyanna perspective that Nancy gave for next week and after the inauguration, and then after the commemoration of the Tet Offensive, that it's going to be a very bumpy year. Is there a point where you see this country snapping back to a kind of militant moderation that someone like an Alyssa Slotkin can really capitalize on to say this is the kind of person we need moving forward? How long do you think it'll take the country as we go to the mattresses?
I think if Trump wins, all bets are off in terms of that movement toward the center there. I think the best thing that could happen to the Republican Party is that Trump loses and that the mainstream Republicans reclaim their party. If he wins, I think the mainstream Republicans are going to have to form a new party because they can't survive in a MAGA culture where they're not.
I was just going to say, JD Vance just turned 40, and he is worse than Trump by a factor of whatever. And I think what it's going to take is, I hate to say this, an act of violence. I think it's going to be, there's going to be some shocking thing that will happen, either another 9/11, an assassination, something that's going to snap people back. Because I think most people in this country are basically moderate. We are kind of a center center, depending on what it is. We're
Nancy,
center. Go
Nancy,
ahead.
you are correct, Nancy, in one thing, because the fact is the one reason Nikki Haley has not said anything, because the people who funded her campaign wanted her to keep her powder dry for 4 years from now, assuming Trump doesn't become authoritarian and runs for another 4 years like Putin. But the point being is the fact there is a movement within the party already with money being set up of groups. People like the Koch brothers are looking for another Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
If he were to try to run in another 4 years, Ed, I mean, he'll be, I think, close to 82.
But remember, he doesn't have to run again. Remember,
Right.
he's president for life.
Yeah,
right.
no, I
but
agree.
I mean, let's say if he loses and if he tries to run again in 4 years and maybe to escape more prison and all, do you think he'll be able to find the garbage can handle or the truck handle then? Because,
he might be already found in the trash heap before that happens.
well, and Nancy, the other question I had for you is, when did you switch from banana to ghost peppers? I mean, you're really looking at violence coming up this year.
Well, I honestly, I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be widespread. I don't think it's going to be like 1967 or the mid 60s. But I do think there's going to be scattered civil unrest in
buildings will
burn. I mean, I watched Civil War, the movie, last couple weeks ago, and I thought it was far-fetched, but
Well, given how Ed feels about the demographics of Oakland County, we're going to build a Great Wall of China around Oakland County.
We're going to keep Lapeer out, and like it's going to run along 8 Mile, and it's going to go up, and it's going to we're going to take care of that. So
we're not including Growth Point. Forget it. No, Growth Point's out. I want to make a comment. It's not that I disagree with Nancy. I'm loath to do that because she might commit violence on me. But did I say that?
I can't believe you said that. Go ahead.
It's accurate. No, I here's the problem with violence. Once violence starts, it's very difficult to put that toothpaste back in the tube. We saw that in '67. We saw cities all over the country go up in smoke. I saw it during the anti-war movement. I was fairly involved, and I remember trying to tell people, now let's not try to blow up the ROTC building. Some guy's always in there at 2 o'clock in the morning. But people become so angry, and it on both sides, and it's hard to get under control. I'm going to put my bunny ears on and suggest that the best thing that could happen is a really sweeping electoral college victory, and winning the House and Senate for Kamala, that would so put Trump on the outside
is a loser.
Yeah,
that something would have to change. I mean, I'm terrified about this quote secret that Mike Johnson.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you, Bill. I don't want to see this. I'm just telling you that I'm expecting it as a pessimist here.
Well, I agree with you, Nancy. I've told Joni, we're not going out Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We're staying home.
That's fine.
Because I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But I'm
we're not going to
crazy
burn cities because cities are blue in this country. We're gonna take it west on I-96, and we're gonna burn Milford and Brighton and Howell to the ground.
Bring it
up against the wall.
The views of the panelists on the show do not reflect the show, and sure as hell don't reflect the post 9/11 host. For God's sakes.
But Bill, if you go back to the 60s and 70s, remember, if you 60s and 70s, a little bit of the 80s, the FBI and the Census Bureau said our biggest problem with crime is the under 30 male. That is the biggest group right now that's growing and becoming very awkward. If you look at all the polling data, it's the same large number of under 30 males like back in the 60s and 70s. They're saying they want to fight. Yeah. And so it's not unheard of what you said and all the other people saying is, yes, Nancy, the under 30 male is the one that's growing right now, that's perking like they did 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And my guess is sparked by a lie. It'll be sparked by some bullshit, by some story that never happened, by some they're going to make something up that will get so inflammatory that people are going to die, people are going to get hurt, things are going to burn. This is going to be a nutty fucking election because people are so visceral about it. If you lose, you're going to be outraged. If you win, you're going to be terrified.
You're going to have more Oklahoma bombings.
If the election is close, and the MAGAs try to pull some shenanigans, like we're going to send it to the state legislatures, and the popular vote is going to be lopsided for Kamala. That much I'm just counting on.
You don't know where the Supreme
The
Court's
popular
gonna go
vote is
either.
going to be lopsided for the Democrats. The Electoral College is going to be close. But if something like that happens and they try some bullshit with the Supreme Court or whatever, it's going then yeah, it's going to be
Well,
on.
if it goes to the Supreme Court, we lose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, yes, exactly.
And by the way, there was a city that was torched yesterday. It was called Los Angeles by Dodger fans. So this does indeed happen.
Like the '84 series
doesn't count. Never counts. Never counts in Ann Arbor. Doesn't count.
You know what bothers me though is all of the people who threw shade at Detroit for being boisterous in our own jubilation. People like Jay Leno and all of these West Coast or these coastal prigs. And when it happens there, crickets, not the sport, Steve, but the silence. So anyway,
right.
with that, Alan, let's go to a commercial.
All right. This is the last time you will be seeing this one.
Michigan, this is Barack Obama. I want to talk with you about the Alyssa Slotkin I know. Alyssa is a true public servant who has dedicated her career to serving the American people, no matter who is in the White House. I saw that leadership and character up close. Alyssa is the kind of leader we need. Tough, independent, and effective. She'll get the job done. And she will make you proud.
I'm Alyssa Slotkin, and I approve this message.
Hello, Detroit. Election Day is November 5th. But why wait? Beginning Saturday, October 19th, you can vote early at one of Detroit's 14 early vote centers. Early voting runs through Sunday, November 3rd. So let your voice be heard and vote early. If you're voting by absentee ballot, return your ballot as soon as possible. For more information, visit our website or give us a call. And remember to vote, because it's not only your right, it's the right thing to do.
By the way, and here's one that Ed probably already knows if he saw the same TMZ show about Zoe Kravitz and Channing Tatum. Apparently, Malia Obama, as she is now undertaking her directorial debut, has dropped the Obama name.
That's right.
So,
She was known for quite some, she worked on Donald Glover's show Atlanta, which I love.
Wow.
And her credit was Malia Ann. So that was, I think it's her. I mean,
That's fine.
The weight of that name is, she's already the ultimate Nepo baby. So, let her judge her on her work.
Nancy, I heard that she dropped Obama because it was just simply way too contentious, and I think she's going to go as Malia Hussein. Because
insane.
All right, Alan, let's go to the last segment.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Okay, I'm sure that there's a dearth of schmucks out there, but Steve.
My schmuck of the week is Joe Biden and the people around him. And I'm not going to get into what, did he really say it in the plural? Did he say it in the singular? Whatever it is. A, the fact that he delayed so long in doing what he did made it more difficult for us. But B, just keep your goddamn mouth shut, okay? For 3 more days. Don't talk about anything. And then he can go back to being Wooden Joe. So he's my schmuck of the week because he gave them something to talk about. And this is all they're talking about.
To distract.
By the way, Mr. Forrest Khan said that the Dodgers did not win the World Series. The Yankees won the World Series for them, which were we taking him to court figuring out Trump logic?
That was good.
Yes. Point well taken. Yes. Actually, they haven't certified the results of the World Series yet, Forrest, so stay tuned. Barb.
Oh gosh. Boy, there are so many. There's so many this week. But I think just because it's pretty funny is that Tucker Carlson said that he was attacked by a demon, and he was attacked by it says in New Diet, it's a terrible headline. About 1.5 years ago, it left him scarred and bloodied, and apparently sucked more of the brain out of his head.
I thought Tucker Carlson was a demon.
He would think. And the runner-up, of course, would be Megyn Kelly, who managed to get every woman in the United States to sympathize with her. That movie Bombshell that you were talking about, just no one should be sexually harassed. Nobody should ever. No one should ever be that way. But here she is dressed in a garbage bag, and it's the perfect outfit for her because Megan Kelly is garbage. So.
Well, and she has a very flat ass, so she can fluff out the garbage bag in the back, kind of give her a little bustle there, you know, give her a little junk in the trunk, so to speak. But yeah,
as another curvy woman, I agree.
See, Barb, I mean, I think Tucker would have been better if he said that he was attacked by a succubus, because at least then it would be the outside chance that he was getting some. But, you know, anyway. Joel.
Okay, I'm going to go with Jameson Williams. The guy got suspended for 2 games for some taking, performance-enhancing drugs. And then earlier this week, it comes out that he was busted with a concealed weapon under his chair. He was out late at night with his brother. Jameson Williams is a gifted athlete. His window to make a whole bunch of money is a brief one, like any other athletes, unless you're LeBron James and something beyond human. And to see him not just destroy himself, which if he doesn't get it together, he's going to get bounced out of the league eventually. It breaks my heart. I think he's the schmuck. The cop who gave him a break, I love that cop. Okay, I think is it wrong? Absolutely. But I'm a Lions fan. I want to see Jameson Williams on the field. And so I don't find the cop a schmuck. I think he did what God knows. Thank you for the Lions. But Jameson Williams, come on, man. You got a whole career. You're going to set up your family for life. Just stay clean for 5 years. Don't get in trouble for 5 years or 6 years, and you're going to make $50 million. And so he's a schmuck for destroying his own, what he's doing to himself.
What do you think is going to happen in that case, Steve?
What do I think is going to happen?
Yeah.
I would say if it were treated like any normal person, they will either not charge him at all, or they'll let him plead to a misdemeanor. And the reason has nothing to do with him being Jameson Williams football player. You've got a guy in the car who's got a CCW permit and he has his own gun. The other gun is registered to Jameson Williams. He just doesn't bother to go get a CCW permit. And he has no prior record. And, whether he's performance enhancing drugs or not, there's a ton of cases like that in the city these days. And the way they're being handled is in a situation like that. Sometimes they don't bring charges at all against the passenger. And if they do, a lot of people are pleading to misdemeanors, which is really all it should be. And when he said, of course, I carry a gun because I live in Detroit, forget that. Everybody has got a pistol, like Gil Scott-Heron said. Everybody carries guns now. So there's been a lot more, from what I understand from talking to people who go to state court still, there are a lot more misdemeanor guilty pleas. That's the worst that'll happen in his case.
Steve, could they argue constructive possession that since the guy who was driving the vehicle had a permit that may have been within the wingspan, if it was, could you argue constructive possession that the guy who was driving made everything legitimate since he had a CPL?
That is what Todd Flood's arguing, by the way.
Steve,
I think Steve.
Oh, he's frozen.
Frozen at that concept.
Oh.
Look
All
at
right.
Frozen
in
if
time.
the guy wasn't,
the question.
Let me just say this.
Bastard Sklar.
I have 2 things to say on this issue, Joel. One is if the guy wasn't smart enough to hire Steve, he probably did the next best thing by hiring Todd Flood. Todd knows what he's doing, and that's exactly the argument Todd Flood's making. I saw an interview last night. Number 2, what Jameson Williams needs more than anything else is an intervention by Barry Sanders and Billy Sims.
Yeah.
Because he's got that kind of talent, and you're right, he's going to lose it.
Yeah, and it's a brief window, man. It's like, I know you're 22 or 23 or whatever it is, but man, that window goes, man. It's got maybe 4 or 5 years to make it, especially when your game is based on speed.
Who was the guy who Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah.
Isn't he another one who kind of flamed out? Could have been something, but he couldn't control his temper?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the classic example is, I mean, think about locally. I mean, Dennis Rodman. I mean, after he left and he no longer had Chuck Daly there as a father figure. But here, I would have thought Dan Campbell would have been able to do that with him. By the way, I think Gil Scott-Heron did say that even Whitey on the Moon carries a gun. So,
I think Dan Campbell said we'll welcome you back, and the kid can grow, and I still believe in him, and that's why people love. That's why these players love Dan Campbell. He stands behind him, and that's what a coach should do.
Right. Ed,
I have tone deaf schmucks. Bill Clinton going to Dearborn trying to justify Israel's bombing of the Gaza. That was really stupid. And number two, Jocelyn Benson giving one candidate for judge $80,000 when she's got a case before the U.S. State Supreme Court. How tone deaf can you be the week before the election? It's stupid. You gave Pike Hochstra a reason to charge her, with improper activity, especially as an attorney. Those were tone deaf mistakes on both Johnson's and Bill Clinton's part.
Well, in Dearborn, Ed, this is why a lot of people said this week, and this is why we didn't vote for your wife. So in 2016, I mean that was really, really ridiculous. Bill,
I've got two. It's election time, and so I think the first one's obvious and appropriate. Donald Trump, who, as one of my favorite satirists says, is really working hard to make sure that he goes after every ethnic group and offends every ethnic group before this election. He's working hard. There'll be a statement later about Sri Lanka, and he'll if you're not into the Borowitz report, I really recommend yesterday's Borowitz report. And second is his partner in crime, Elon Musk, who didn't bother to show up at his hearing about his buying votes. This guy has put Richard Daley to shame in terms of what he's doing to buy votes. This is incredible. The fact that it's taken somebody this long to say that he ought to be dragged into court for this is incredible to me. They're my schmucks of the week and probably the schmucks of the election. And anybody who thinks that democracy is safe in their hands is smoking something that I would like some of.
Yeah, it's an
well, Bill, I think Elon is ensuring that democracy won't be safe for the next few generations if he is able to breed, his ilk moving forward. So there you go. Nancy.
Well, I have two. I'm surprised nobody grabbed RFK Jr., who is going around telling people that
Nancy.
that President Trump has promised him oversight over about 5 different federal agencies, all of which have play a role in public health policy
and women.
And it's terrifying to hear this guy talk about how he is going to be the person that the FDA is going to have to answer to because he is a misinformed, malignant lunatic. But in the spirit of the last good year and the last good weekend, I'm going to give it a little lightheartedly to Austin Capobianco, aka the Yankee fan who grabbed Mookie Betts's glove when he went up to catch that high fly ball. And his friend, who I think has got some other stupid name like John Peter, I think is the name, which sounds like bullshit to me. But anyway, the two of them were holding this like gazillion-dollar baseball player by the hands, endangering he could have dislocated something or broken his wrist or something, all in the interest of prying the ball out of his glove. And it was all for naught because the batter was called out. But the one good thing you can say about this is the photograph of Austin Capobianco with his face all screwed up, trying to pry this glove open, is somebody tweeted and said, "This is the Republicans' post-election gambit." And
you go to sporting events and you see sometimes they act as if the players are animals at a zoo. Like they'll at the hockey games they'll bang and on the glass and they'll throw shit at these people. They act like it's like they're not real human beings.
Have you ever seen in Europe how soccer players take the field where they go through this like inflatable tunnel that leads so that they're protected from these insane soccer fans who like throw shit at them? And we were down in Argentina, and the soccer stadium has a moat around it that is protected with barbed wire.
Wow.
And the guy, our guide, this this Buenos Aires kid's like, and if you are a real fan, you go over the barbed wire through the moat. It's like, no wonder in every banana republic down there where they have to like round up the dissidents, they always put them in the soccer stadium as like a de facto prison. But anyway, so
and everybody high-fived that guy as they were dragging him out of the
I
making
know.
him leave. All the fans were like, "Good job, dude."
Alan, is that why? I mean, I get yelled at when I offer players at the Tiger game food.
When you throw it at them, that's
unwrapped, wrapped. It's
okay.
Uncooked meat.
That's the last thing I'm going to say about sports in 2024.
Well, there's a great meme going around, Nancy, right now of instead of the ball, it's actually the World Series trophy in the mitt, and the guy's trying to grab it out of the Dodgers hand. That's really good. Alan.
I'm going to go. I got a couple quick ones. Dr. Phil, who was part of the clown show at Madison Square Garden, saying, people are saying Donald Trump's a bully, but, he's not a bully. That's when you have a disproportionate power. He's just the best debater around. He should have said the best masturbator around. But
whoa.
And then
I don't think he knows that.
The other one is Sarah
mustard.
Boone, 47. Who was just convicted. She's from Winter Park, Florida. She was convicted last Friday of murder, I guess, second-degree murder for not letting her boyfriend out of a suitcase that she zipped him into, and he was screaming, "I can't breathe!" And she videotaped saying, "Well, that's on you. That's what you get for trying to choke me." And then she went to bed, thinking, she alleged that she thought he would be able to get out, but in the morning he was dead, and she called EMS then.
Wow. How did he get in the luggage? I mean, did he voluntarily walk in the luggage?
It was weird. They were playing.
Fit in there.
Yeah, it didn't make sense because they said they were playing hide and seek, but if she
somebody
zipped in the luggage, she'd be
that?
like, "I think I know where you're at."
I think the third Police album was playing in the background, Zenyatta Mandata, which of course had the song "Must I Be a Man in the Suitcase." So,
can I just say that I would like to someday be small enough to fit into even a large, like going to Japan for 3 months size suitcase?
Right.
No fucking way. That guy must have been pretty skinny. So. Okay.
Well, we have evidence, I believe, along in our montage of photos. So don't tempt us there, Nancy. Well,
we're looking at the bikini. Come on, Alan.
I'm sorry. Oh,
bikini.
Are we even allowed? I'm afraid we're going to get raided here.
Yeah.
So my schmuck of the week is conservative commentator. Oh, there you go. Stop the clocks.
Oh God.
That was Rudy.
That's
after he saw the picture.
That's a good
couldn't
one.
help it.
Oh, Nancy. Okay.
So my schmuck of the week is conservative commentator Ryan Gudersky, who was on Abby Phillips' show on CNN on Monday with a panel discussing the MAGA rally at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And he got into it quite heavily with journalist Mahdi Hassan. And at one point, Mahdi said, "Well, I'm a pro-Palestinian. I'm pro-Palestinian." And Gudersky responded by saying, "I hope your pager doesn't go off." This was then met with really unanimous condemnation on the show. And Gudersky tries to walk it back. He apologizes. And then he says, "Oh, I thought you said pro-Hamas," which, of course, then feeds into this idea that some people think that all Palestinians are terrorists and pro-Hamas. Abby Phillips then announced that he was suspended from the show, and then Gudersky has been banned from CNN. But the idea of essentially issuing a death threat in real time to another panelist warrants him being my schmuck of the week. Yeah. It would be an insult to squirrels to call him a squirrel, but he was definitely very rodental, to be sure. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this show. I promise all of you who are viewing and listening that we will have a show next week, no matter what happens in the Lions-Packers game. on Sunday.
Nancy is joining us from the Wayne County Jail, where her attorney, Mr. Fishman, has given her a phone, but not his phone, but her phone, so that she can appear on the show.
Well, Nancy, I have a feeling you wouldn't accept Steve's phone because it's
a
a
dumb
flip.
phone. Yeah,
That's right. So there you go. You know, I mean, in fact, I believe it has a coin slot on it. So, but anyways, come what may, we have come together, and we will come together again next Friday. Thank you, Ed Sarpolus. Thank you, Steve Fishman. Thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Bill Seikaly. Thank you, Barb Ingalls. Thank you, Nancy Derringer. And go vote if you haven't already, and make sure you turn the clocks back 1 hour on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, because it is daylight savings. With the last word, as always.
But don't turn it back 4 years by voting for Trump.
Yeah, I like that. Yes.
Thank you.
Drive home safely.
Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Take care.